Being human, there are so many things that are outside of control. It can cause immense stress, fear, and anxiety. But today, I want to teach you some of the things that you actually do have control of. And what if I told you one of those things was your health and the outcomes of your health? In the study of epigenetics, we learned that despite our DNA and genes, environmental factors do contribute to whether or not certain genes are turned on or off. For example, you may have a lot of cancer in your family, or thyroid disease, or I'm just trying to think of, or maybe metabolic syndrome like diabetes. The good news is you do have the control over that, depending on how you live your life, your lifestyle, your environment, and the foods that you eat can all play an important role. Something that I learned that blew my mind when relating to genes and epigenetics is that your genes may load the gun, but your habits and your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So today we're going to talk about my health journey and what I've learned in all the ways to take back my own health and not feel as though I was a victim of my circumstance, but I could actually overcome and learn to take my health back and put that power back into my own hands. So let's talk about it. My name is Aria and welcome to my channel, Nourish with Aria. Here on my channel, we'll talk about all things motherhood, holistic nutrition, along with some biblical encouragement sprinkled throughout the way to just keep you going throughout your day and just help you to feel strong, confident, and just to nourish your body, mind, and soul. So in my last video, I shared what caused me as a mom to really become focused on holistic health, nutrition, and take a food as medicine approach when it came to healing my son's eczema. So today I'm gonna kind of pivot and talk more about my story and how this moment in my life really triggered in me a new way of thinking, a whole new mindset shift, and basically just kind of transformed my outlook on health and wellness when it came to myself and taking back my own health when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So let's backtrack a bit and kind of just get to the beginning of the story to set the stage. In my last video, I talked about how as a child, I was very sickly. I had asthma, I had a lot of allergies, not food allergies, but like environmental. And into my adulthood, that continued to remain. In my 20s, I had terrible seasonal allergies. And this is like the part of my life where I really was not taking care of myself at all. All through my teens and my 20s, I was living a very busy, fast-paced lifestyle. You know, I started working as soon as I could. You know, from age 14, I had a job. As soon as I could get a job, I wanted a job. I wanted to be out. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be doing my own thing. That was like, you know, really important to me in my younger days. And, you know, this led to like that fast, convenient lifestyle. I was eating a lot of fast food, eating a lot of sugar, going to sleep late. That was a bad habit that, you know, I still need work on to this day. Sleep is not my strongest, and, you know, it's definitely something that I preach, but it's hard. It's hard to break those cycles of bad habits. And that was definitely a huge bad habit that I fell into. Yeah, so like I said, I wasn't eating healthy, I was eating a lot of fast food. Something really funny, when me and my best friend we were seniors in high school, we made the honor roll runs. And when you made the honor roll, you could go out for lunch. It was like a really like fun, you know, just badge of honor, I guess, that us seniors wanted to indulge in. So whenever we would go to lunch, we would go to McDonald's, we would go to Wendy's, there was this pizza place up the street from my house that it was $2 for 2 slices of pizza and a soda. It was like the student special. So we were all about that. You know, we were broke. We just had minimum wage paying jobs in high school. She had a car, so she would drive us around everywhere. And the joke was, you know, before lunch we couldn't talk to each other because we were hangry. And it's so funny to look back at now because I wasn't putting together, you know, all the reasons why I may be feeling that way. Well, I probably wasn't eating breakfast. We were having fast food for lunch, burgers, fries, chicken nuggets, you know, whatever. I'm sure we were having some Wendy's Frosties. You know, we weren't eating balanced, healthy meals. And when I got home, yeah, I would eat my mom's healthy food, but that was probably the healthiest food that I was eating within that time. As time got older, and as time went on, and I'm in my 20s now, college age, you start to gain even more independence, right? You're working a full-time job now. I was working as a server at Chili's, so that was like 85% of my diet. If I worked a double shift, which meant like I worked from morning till night and just had a little break in between, we would get free food. So I was all about that, broke college student, working, still living at home, making money, but obviously just spending it on frivolous things, not saving it or anything. So, that was like my fuel. Eating Chili's was my fuel. And another thing, I was just relying on coffee to get through the day. I was tired, okay, just grab a coffee on my break. Go over to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, or drink coffee at Chili's, whatever it was. And of course I'm having cappuccinos and things like that. Like I said, young college student, not caring about my nutrition or health, just living a lifestyle that was go, with very little nutrition to sustain me and to keep me going. Getting very little sleep, all the things. So fast forward now, I'm married, I have my first child. You already know that story that I've already kind of given you about his eczema story, and I'm working full time. I was a full-time working mom, and that alone is hard, and stressful because you're away from your child all day. You don't get to see them as much as you'd like to, so you tend to stay up later because you want to spend that time with your child that you didn't have during the day. In my early 30s, when I had my son, I thought it was normal to, be fatigued to 3 p.m. every single day, without a doubt. 3 p.m. came, okay, me and my coworkers, we're going to that Keurig, we're gonna have a coffee, we're going to have some treats on the side, because, when you work in an office, there's a never-ending plethora of snacks, treats, cookies, it's always someone's birthday or celebration, so there's your baby shower, whatever, so there's always gonna be snacks and things too to give you a little pick-me-up, that little boost of sugar that you need to get through the rest of your day. And I found that me and my friends were making this a ritual, that every day we would go get our coffee, we would go get our snack, and then this was how we kind of just survived throughout this time period. And then fast forward to 2017, I'm pregnant with my second child. And, of course, when you're pregnant, first trimester is normal to be extremely fatigued, all those things, which, that's typically normal. You're growing a baby. It's a very strenuous time in a woman's body. And so, yeah, all that was happening in the background, but I went to the doctor, and I found out, through blood work and things like that I had Hashimoto's. So what Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid. Basically, and I think it's important to say that, okay, so you can either be hypothyroid or you can be hyperthyroid. Hypothyroid means you are not making enough of the thyroid hormone for your body is not producing enough thyroid hormone, so you are low in that area. Hyperthyroid means you are producing too much. Your thyroid is overactive. So you have either an underactive thyroid in hypothyroid, or you have an overactive thyroid in hyperthyroid. In the case of Hashimoto's, which is, like I said, an autoimmune disease, you can swing either way. You can either be hypo or you can be hyper, depending on, obviously, your blood work levels and based on, how your disease wants to act that day. Just as a simple way to explain it, autoimmunity is when your own body cells and tissues begin to attack themselves. So my body was making antibodies against my thyroid. So thinking that it was like a foreign invader or something that shouldn't be there, my immune system was attacking it. So that's what Hashimoto's is in a nutshell. I was so focused on getting the video done that I completely forgot to tell you guys about a free resource that I've created. If you're struggling with, if you're a busy woman struggling with something like chronic fatigue all day, sugar cravings, you feel like you need to grab a sugary snack in between the day, you're sluggish like I was and eating coffee at 3 p.m., I have a free resource for you that I've linked in the description of this video, all about easy, simple, actionable tips that you can take to have more energy that you can literally start today, right after you watch the free masterclass training. Okay, now back to the video. So while this news didn't necessarily shock me, I had a lot of symptoms beforehand. I was, like I said, I was always tired at 3 p.m., even before I was pregnant. I had always found it hard to lose weight. Like, that was never something that came easily to me, right? No matter what I did, no matter how hard I worked out, turns out I probably wasn't doing the right workouts for my body anyway, but that's another video. No matter what I did, it was very hard for me to lose weight. Intolerance to colds, brittle fingernails, losing like the third quarter of your eyebrow. Like, my eyebrows have always been very thin in this area. Those are all symptoms. Thinning hair, those are all symptoms that you can have if you have Hashimoto's. So a lot of these symptoms resonated with me. And another thing that kind of made sense and clicked when I got diagnosed was previously to being pregnant with my daughter, I actually had a very early miscarriage at 5 weeks. So, and that's known as like a chemical pregnancy, when it's like a super early miscarriage. And that was not something that I ever thought that I would go through. And I know it's not something that many people talk about, and I think that more people should, because, you know, it's a very common thing. Not something that we should be ashamed of. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong with you or your body. My body just wasn't healthy enough, I guess, to carry that pregnancy, because this is in the midst of me being diagnosed with Hashimoto's, right? So now I'm diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I'm newly pregnant with my daughter. I obviously wanted to do everything that I could to have a healthy pregnancy. So, I agreed to go on the medication, even though, you know, it's not something that I love to do. I knew that I had to do it if I wanted to have a healthy pregnancy and make enough thyroid hormone for myself and for my baby. So that was a decision that I ultimately made at that moment. But it was a wake-up call for me. You know, this was a wake-up call for me. I had already learned so much from dealing with what I went through with my son. I had learned the power of healing foods. I had learned the power of holistic nutrition, functional medicine, getting to the root of the issue. And I knew, light bulb, I had to do that for myself. This is now a full circle moment where I have to use the information that I learned to take care of myself. And because I knew that, because of what I went through with my son, which I would not wish that on anyone's child, or, you know, I wish that I didn't have to go through that, but I think that I needed to, in order to learn and to be given the permission to say, you can do this, you can heal yourself, you can work on what you need to work on so that you get better, just like you did for your son. So, you know, thankfully, going through that allowed me to see that, and I looked at things differently from day one. I knew I had to clean up my diet. I knew I had to get more rest. I knew I had to reduce my stress levels. All those things that contribute to our environment and our lifestyle, I knew I had to do those things if I didn't want to further deteriorate my thyroid and my health. So that's what I did. I learned everything that I could about this topic. Same thing like what I went through with my son. I researched, I read books. I'll do another video. I would love to do another video. I think I want to do it next about how I overcame Hashimoto's and how you can too. And I want to make that another video because there's so much involved in it. But just to give you like a quick rundown, you know, I read a lot of books. One of the best books that I find that I read was Isabella Wentz's book. She is a pharmacy, like a doctor of pharmacy that had Hashimoto's herself, overcame Hashimoto's herself, created her own protocol that she teaches people so that they can overcome Hashimoto's as well by following her step-by-step program and protocol. But that's not to say, but I want to say too that everyone is different, everyone is bio-individual. We're all completely different humans. We all have different triggers in our environment, in our genes, different things that set off our autoimmunity. So what may have worked for her or one of her patients or me or someone else doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So you have to really take a nuanced approach and kind of do some trial and error to figure things out. And that's what I had to do. So through this time I was seeing an endocrinologist, you know, making sure that my medication was the right dosages. And I started taking on a whole new, you know, diet, lifestyle, things like that. All of those things that you have to do, supplements. So I also started seeing a functional medicine doctor who really, really helped point me in the right direction of more resources to look at. She helps me manage my blood work. We did stool testing, which helps kind of just to see your microbiome, which is your gut health, and all the bacteria in your gut to see if that's healthy. Most times when you have autoimmunity, it is not. Same thing like I talked about with my son. All these diseases usually stem from a root cause of a gut issue or some kind of infection, underlying infection or something that's in our bodies that stays dormant for a long time, but something activates it. So that's, what I think happened with me, because I had I really had a lot of gut dysfunction. I had small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which contributed to it. So there was it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, I have a gut problem, so that's what happened. And then you check it off and you're good. It's like you really have to dig deep, and it's like a puzzle, right? You have to just keep putting the pieces of the puzzle together, peeling back the layers of the onion. It's not as cut and dry as we'd like it to be, but it takes a little digging to find out what your root cause is and what the best path and solution is for it. So that's why I always recommend working with a practitioner, someone who can help you kind of see what your triggers are, someone who can see, who can do certain testing on you to see maybe you have mineral imbalances, maybe you have gut imbalances, like I said, someone who can do a stool test, someone who can run blood labs and see how all your thyroid numbers look, not just your TSH and your T3 and reverse T3 and all that. Someone that can look at your antibodies, because that's going to tell you if you have Hashimoto's or not. That's going to tell you if your thyroid is inflamed or not. So it really takes a deep dive and a functional approach to start peeling back the layers, to start putting the puzzle together and figuring out what the best plan is for you. So all that to say, I was going to an endocrinologist at the time, and this is when I was already working so hard on myself. I was doing all the things after I had my baby, trying to get my body back, not saying to bounce back, that's not what I mean. Trying to get my body back as in restoring my health, because pregnancy takes a lot out of you, and this is the time where I was diagnosed. So I really wanted to do everything that I could to just get healthy again, feel less tired. For me, that was the biggest symptom. I was dragging, I was just exhausted all the time. So that was the biggest thing that I wanted to work on, and I just wanted to feel good again. It wasn't about how I looked, it was more about how I felt. And that was the key driver for me to want to feel better and want to do better. And I knew that I could do it, right? I knew I could. So I get to a point where I'm doing really well. I was on a more paleo-ish diet, very, very low carb. At that time, that was what was working for me. I'm not saying you should go do that. I'm just saying that is what worked for me at that time to kind of help reduce inflammation and just get my thyroid better on track. I started strength training. I was not killing myself doing HIIT workouts. HIIT workouts can be very damaging to someone with Hashimoto's or autoimmunity because it's hard on your joints. You're just kind of pushing yourself a little too hard and wiping yourself out, and that can be exercise is a stressor to our body. It's a good stress because it breaks us down and then builds us back up. But the problem with doing workouts like HIIT and strenuous workouts when you have, an autoimmune disease, it can be hard to recover and it can be a little too hard for you. So, I recommend if you are going through this or something like this, do strength training, do light walking workouts. Don't kill yourself with workouts because it's just gonna make it harder for you to heal and recover. So what I did, I started doing strength training. I was eating really healthy. I was focused on my sleep and getting the right amount of sleep. I really didn't drink a lot at this point in my life. So I was just doing things to really just try to be on track and everything. And this is the moment that I knew that, one, I had to fire my doctor, and two, just that I wasn't gonna allow anyone else's limiting beliefs dictate how I was gonna control my health. Never again. This is the moment I decided I'm my own best health advocate and I'm gonna take this into my hands. Yes, I'm gonna find practitioners and doctors who are on my team and who help me and guide me, but I'm not gonna let anyone tell me that I can't do it. That was the attitude that I had. And this was the moment that I had that revelation. So, I was seeing my doctor, and this is excuse me, this is about a year after I had my daughter. And she's like, oh, you look great. I had lost the baby weight, not saying that again. I just want to preface and say that's not the most important thing. It's just part of my story and what happened here. you look great, you know, what have you been doing? Like, your numbers are great, everything looks great, you know, we don't have to up your dosage, just all this great news, right? And I was like, oh yeah, you know, I'm on a paleo diet, I've been doing low carb, you know, just telling her the things I'm doing, and that seemed to be working for me at that time. And this is what she told me. She said, oh, don't go too crazy with diet. Diet doesn't matter. Diet's not gonna dictate your health. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here being a living, breathing example of changing my diet, changing my lifestyle, and actually doing that work. And she's telling me it didn't work. You see how those two things do not click? And, you know, I hate to make it seem like I'm against doctors, because I'm not. I'm totally not. Like I said in my last video, there are great doctors out there. She was a wonderful doctor. You know, I'm not saying that she's not a good doctor, but saying things like that to your patients is really discouraging. And luckily for me, I had already done all that work, right? I've read all the books, I've watched all the videos, I've had support. You know, I had a functional medicine doctor that she was the one helping me manage everything. And, you know, I needed the endocrinologist for my medication, but I needed my functional medicine doctor for the support, for the guidance, for all the blood work and testing that the other doctor would not do for me. So, you know, that's why it's so important to have a support team, because if I didn't have that, and say I only had this endocrinologist and not my functional medicine doctor, I would have left there feeling defeated. I would have wanted to give up. I would have said, well, maybe she's right. You know, what's the difference? I should just go back to eating whatever I want, right? But that wasn't the case. I was a living, breathing example that if you change your lifestyle, it can have a positive impact on how your body responds. It can change things. And there was another moment when I had asked her for certain blood work. I'll leave up on the screen all the blood work that you should be getting as someone with Hashimoto's to kind of manage and test your condition and see how things are going. It's really important that you do as you're monitoring it, and if you want to heal, because it helps you to see, you know, how things fluctuate and things like that. And also there's different seasons where things are gonna be worse than others. Like I said, after pregnancy, being postpartum, all those things play a factor. Even if you're taking care of yourself so well, you know, your body is very depleted and it needs help, you know, it needs a little work to get back to where it was. So there was a point where I was asking her if she would test me for certain things, just to, you know, check my levels. One of the biggest things that's important to check for Hashimoto's is your antibodies, because your antibodies will tell you, you know, how your levels are doing, how much of your immune system is attacking your thyroid. I'm probably not explaining this right, but that's just a really basic way of saying it, I guess. I'll leave a little thing here so that you can see what it really means in a more educated way. But, and then she told me, like, I called the office and I asked for that blood work. She calls me back and she tells me, why do you want to get this blood work? And I said, oh, you know, I've been doing my own research, and it's suggested to get these tests just to monitor things and see where things are. And she said, you have an autoimmune disease. It's not going to get better. You're not going to heal. Why do you need to do these tests? Why do you need to know your antibodies? Of course they're elevated. You have Hashimoto's. So that was like strike two. I was just blown away by that, because it's like, how can you have such a defeatist attitude? And, you know, you see someone who's clearly doing their best to educate themselves, and it just is such a disservice to me that some doctors just have such a tunnel vision, a way of thinking. They see things as black and white. You have autoimmunity, you have autoimmunity for life. And while that may be true, yes, you cannot technically cure an autoimmune disease. You can put it in remission, you can make it dormant, your antibodies can go down, and you can get to a place where you live normally and function normally without medication. Several people have done it, you know, and it's just very discouraging. It kind of just adds fuel to the fire to those people that are just like, you know, doctors just care about peddling medications. And this is why people don't trust doctors. This is why people think these things, because they say very defeatist things to people without even thinking about it, because that's what they're taught. They're taught one way and they don't see it any other way. They're not taught about nutrition and healing modalities other than medications. They're not taught about, you know, doing things, changing your lifestyle. They're not taught about eating a healthier diet and how that contributes to things and to stress in your body and just all of that. And, you know, some do, and it's great, but most medical doctors don't. Most with a MD don't, unfortunately. And luckily for me, I found the functional medicine doctor that, while she had all that training, she also took a very integrative root cause approach. And, I feel very blessed to have found her because she helped me see things another way, and she supported me when I had a doctor who would not give me these tests. And unfortunately, the sad part is not many people have access to that because those doctors cost a lot more money. You pay completely out of pocket. She did not take insurance. So it's unfortunate because a lot of people don't have access to that, and they're left with these doctors that the insurance does take, and that will tell them it's this way or no way. And how can you do that to somebody? How can you just, it's so soul crushing, like if you're someone who's determined to heal yourself and to feel better, and someone tells you that, and like you don't have a good mindset about it, you're going to give up. It just adds to that defeatist mindset. And that was a last straw for me. That was like my moment where I knew that I don't want to see this doctor anymore. I have to find someone else who not only supports my goals, but supports me as a person and what I'm doing, and doesn't think I'm crazy for wanting to know more and wanting to dig deeper. You are your own best advocate. You are the boss of your own body, not your doctor. So I just want to say that to remind you that you have more power than you think. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too long of a story. I hope I wasn't rambling. I just wanted you to see the different nuances involved in healing and taking action and taking a step in your health. And I want to also encourage you and let you know that it's never too late. It's never too late to decide that you're going to take care of something. If you have Hashimoto's and you've been living with it for years, it's never too late to change your lifestyle, or to clean up your diet, or to try different forms of exercise, to reduce your stress, all these things. And like I said, I'll make another video kind of just laying all of the things I did out, just to kind of give you not a template, because I don't want you to copy what I did. Like I said, everyone's different, but just so you can kind of see what works for some people and just get some ideas, get some starters. But yeah, I hope it wasn't too much. I hope it wasn't overwhelming. I just want to kind of share that in this world, in this country, we really do have a health crisis, and it's really unfortunate how many doctors perpetuate it by not giving their patients the tools they need, right? And something that I commonly hear a lot of more of those functional medicine doctors and more people in the health and wellness space say is like, we don't have a healthcare problem, we have a sick care problem. Everyone here is just sick, and the doctors are just peddling more and more medications and putting more money in their pockets while we're truly suffering and not getting the help that we need, because we're not given the information to empower ourselves. We're not given the information. It's not mainstream information to go and research. It's not mainstream information to go on PubMed and figure out all the things that you can do to kind of heal yourself if you have XYZ condition. It's not. It's some people are thought of as crazy to believe these things, and it's really unfortunate because it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way that if you want to take care of your matters into your own hands, that you're a crazy person who doesn't listen to doctors or experts, because that's not the case. What the case is that you deserve to be informed of all the medical decisions that you're making for yourself and your family. You should be on board with anything that you're going to do to yourself and understand clearly the side effects or the risks involved, as well as the benefits. And I think that there's not a big conversation about that people get scared to talk about that, or people think that people will look at them weird if they, choose another way. And, I've definitely gotten that before. And just for the dietary changes I've made and things like that, people will think you're weird. People will make fun of you. People will say like, a common thing that I've heard before, oh, you're not eating that, it's because it's not organic, and it's like, I'm not this like elitist person that just everything has to be organic or whatever, but people tend to like have those outlook on you because they see the things that they're not doing and they project onto you. They project onto you the things that maybe they wish they could do, or the discipline that they wish they had, or whatever it is, when I first started eating really healthy, because my motivation was weight loss at that time, but one of the things when I first started learning about eating a more balanced diet, healthy snacks, and just having more protein and things like that, and I was eating like, I was preparing things for myself, I was meal prepping, I would bring it to work, and my boss would be like, "You're so good, I could never do that. Oh, you're so healthy." Like, girl, no, I'm not. Like, I'm just like you. Like, I'm just choosing a different path for myself. I'm choosing this because I know this is what makes me feel good. It's not because I want to be healthy. It's not, I mean, yes, I want to be healthy. It's not because I'm super healthy. It's not because I'm perfect. It's not because I want to be skinny. You know, like, everyone has these weird preconceived notions about people because they choose to do a different way, and it like offends them. And I just find that so strange. Like, why can't we just support each other? Back to what I said in my other video, like, can we just support people for the choices that they make, even though they don't match what you do? Like, we don't all have to be the same. That would be boring. That would be boring and like stupid, you know? How can you learn from someone if they're exactly like you? You can't. So I just think it's important to say all this, and I think it's important to know that you do have the power to switch off those bad genes and heal. You do have the power to learn and to grow and to do better. You can do it. If I did it, you can do it. I got to a point after I had my daughter where my antibody levels were at a 2. That is basically remission. And while I can't confidently say that I'm in remission right now, I'm not. I had my third child back in 2021, and that, that set things off a little. Like I said, I had to rebuild after I had a baby. You know, your minerals are depleted, hormones are shifting. So I'm still in a place where I'm getting better. I'm almost there again, but it's like with autoimmunity too, another thing that's important to mention is that it's not a linear path. It's not gonna look like this. It's gonna look like this. There's gonna be ups and downs. There's going to be times where you might flare. There's going to be times where you may be more prone to certain illnesses and things like that because you're not supporting your immune system. It's a nuanced life. Like, there's a lot of things that are gonna happen, and there's ups and downs, it's hills and valleys. It's not a straight path. And I just want you to know that if you're going through that right now, it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. Keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna get better. It takes time. Listen to me and all the things that I went through in my life, the lifestyle, the bad lifestyle choices, the bad eating, all of that it takes years and years and years to actually create dysfunction in the body, to mess with your blood sugar, to get you insulin resistant. All of that takes time. So don't think that changing everything is going to make everything flip like this overnight. It takes time. You have to undo the work, the bad that you did to your body to get in the good. You have to stay on track, and you're going to have times where you fall off track, and that's okay too. You just have to give yourself grace, and I think that's the biggest thing with healing. You have to give yourself grace to know that you are human. You're not perfect. You're going to want a cookie one day, or you're going to want to, eat something that maybe is not on your clean eating plan, and that's okay. You have to learn to live life and take on a whole new lifestyle and a whole new identity. You're not a sick person. You're a healthy person that's healing, and you're on a path to healing. And it's going to take time, and it's going to take steps. But I'm here to tell you that it's possible, and you can do it. Okay, so now that I've talked forever and kind of just shared all of that with you, I just want to leave you with this. I just want to say thank you so much for listening and for subscribing and liking this video. Please share it if you know anyone else who would benefit from this content. I'm here to help women, I'm here to help moms, and I'm here to help you realize how much power you really do have as a woman and as a mom. And I also want to remind you that whether or not you believe in our Creator, you were made by our Heavenly Father, and you were made in His image. And because of that, you are worth healing. You are worth taking care of yourself, because you were made by the wonderful Creator who made you wonderful. So don't ever forget that. Don't ever let anyone tell you you can't do it. You can do it. So that's it for now, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.